Yeah, we can't hear. Can't hear.
Mr. Hoover,
Here.
Mr. Johnston,
Here.
Mr. Cruz,
Here.
Dr. Malloy.
Here.
Thank you. We did
I'm
not have
here
an
too.
executive session tonight. I'm sorry.
There is no
executive.
I'm sorry.
It's okay.
I checked you. Mrs. Irwin
Oh,
Adams.
she didn't call you, I'm sorry. Okay, there was no executive session this evening. We are going to move on to hearing from citizens.
Hello.
Hello, Sandra Rhodes.
Yes, this is her.
This is Dr. Friatel. You are now entering public comment at the Altoona Area School Board special meeting.
Awesome. Thank you. I'm just going to read what I had wrote down here. Good evening, and thank you so much for calling me. I am the mother of a first grader with an IEP. At his IEP meeting this Monday, we were told that all of his goals would remain the same and none have been met. It is very depressing as a mother to watch their child try and not have the tools to succeed. Children with special needs in particular are uniquely negatively impacted because they depend on in-person learning for education, rehabilitative services, social and behavioral resources that cannot be adequately supported in distance learning. Even the students without IEPs are failing assignments and classes like never before. Research is showing places like Sweden that have never closed have had no child die of COVID. The teachers in that country were 57% less likely to need intensive care for COVID than other working adults in different fields. Here in America, our ERs are telling us there's a 34% increase in teens presenting to the ER for mental health services, including suicidal ideation. We can't underestimate the serious psychological harm that virtual school has on many kids. Now, if our virtual learning couldn't get any worse, the time for educating elementary students was reduced after Christmas break. The small group afternoon sessions where the kids actually received one-on-one attention and direction were canceled on Tuesdays and Thursdays. The kids get 2 hours of lecture on these days, and that's it. Parents are being told we're not responsible to teach our children. But how can we just sit back and be okay with 2 hours of education 2 days a week? The teachers that I spoke with have all wanted to be in the room or at least teaching, and this is the complete opposite. It is not fair to the teachers to only have 2 hours to educate on these days when a typical school day is 3 times as long. It's not fair to the parents trying to fill the gaps and put on teaching tasks. And it's not fair to the students to short them education time. Now, a few meetings ago, I did listen in to Mr. Heilman, and I was really upset and afraid for our education with COVID. We now have research and figures to support in-person learning. Children less than 10 are considered low transmitters of COVID-19. My son and my daughter, ages 3 and 7, were both positive for COVID in November. Not one person on my son's van, classroom, or outpatient therapy building were positive due to him being in attendance. I wasn't positive either, and I live with both of these kids. While my son was on quarantine, he was moved to a virtual program that is not geared in any fashion for special education students. He was in a group of over 60 kids for 2 weeks, and I know there was very little learning for him with a dozen seesaw assignments every day. We were also over quarantining in the fall, and we now know that. It is very unlikely a positive child in a classroom is within 6 feet of every student or teacher for more than 15 minutes, thus eliminating the need to quarantine an entire class. The CDC has stated that children who are most at risk for spreading this virus are those involved in extracurricular activities. Yet our board has valued sports more than education last meeting. I've seen team pictures on Facebook at players' houses for team dinners without any masks, social distancing, with more than 10 players in these pictures. We need to make players and coaches accountable. We signed waivers for daycare stating we would wear our masks, social distance, and stay within our bubble, and we've remained open. I'd like to say that I am upset, and I know the risks of returning to school do not outweigh the benefits or the science. If you're a parent wanting to continue virtual, please do it. No one is taking that option away from you. It is time to let the teachers know that they are essential and needed back in the classroom. They are far less likely to contract COVID from their students versus going to get groceries. It is time to show parents you value our survey responses, calls, and letters. Show us that you value education. We know you value sports, but you need to remember that these are student athletes, and great emphasis should be placed on the student part, as academics are just as important as sports and can provide scholarships to students just the same. Heck, at this point, let's consider special ed kids athletes. I'll buy the jerseys, mascots, and gaiters to make this a reality. I'm asking you in closing here to listen to the CDC, numerous pediatricians, psychologists, and Dr. Levine to get these kids back to school, as their futures depend on it, mentally and academically. Thank you for your time and have a good evening.
Thank you.
All right. Why am I getting a display?
Hello?
Hello, is this Brianna Filer?
Yes, this is she.
It's Dr. Priatel here at the Altoona Area School District Special Board Meeting. You are for public comment. You have 5 minutes.
Well, I just wanted to call in. I'm a parent of an 11th grader and a 9th grader, and I also have a son who already graduated from Altoona. First off, I just wanted to say thank you. Thank you for taking time and considering what's best for our students. I can't imagine how difficult it is to make a decision that affects so many people in our community. I've heard people voice their opinions very strongly the past few months, and I think it's important to remember that we aren't just discussing how to best educate children. You are being asked to decide how we will educate kids while also keeping them safe during the pandemic and keeping our community safe. So that's not an easy thing to decide, and there's no easy answer. But with that, I did want to voice one thought. I feel if you weigh the options and find that it is safe to bring kids back in some form, whether it be hybrid or fully in school, please consider the kids in the junior and senior high as well. We have students who are getting close to starting their adult lives who are missing out on so much. As it stands, most of our high school students have had about 7 days in the school building in the past 11 months. So that's not a lot. If you find that it is safe, I know a lot of parents like myself with kids who are older would love to have our kids get to do some learning in a classroom as well. Our high school has so many wonderful classes to offer, planetarium, dance, swimming, food classes, science labs. So even if they returned in a hybrid form, they could resume some of these learning experiences. We also have so many wonderful, caring teachers who our children are not getting the chance to meet. You know, they're just doing everything through a computer screen, which I don't think is the same. So if there's a way to get the 6th to 12th graders back in a safe, socially distanced way, I think that time in school would be really meaningful for them. So thank you for allowing me to express my thoughts. That's all.
Thank you.
Welcome.
All right, thank you. Bye.
So 327. Should I keep all the numbers straight?
Your call has been forwarded to an automated voice messaging system. 81432737115 is not available. At the tone, please record your message. When you've finished recording, you may hang up or press 1 for more options. To leave a callback number, press 5.
Tell him you'll call back at the end.
Dominic, I'm going to try to give you a call back at the end.
Hello?
Is this Sherry Squires?
Yes?
This is Dr. Prietel for the Altoona School Board special meeting. This is public comment. You have 5 minutes.
Thank you. First, I want to thank you all for the work that you do and for giving your Altoona residents time to speak at these meetings. I am a special education aide for the Altoona Area School District and a parent of 3 kids, 2 of which are still in school. One's a senior, one is a 9th grader, and a son that has graduated already. First, I think we can all agree that these students need to be back in school when it is safe to do so. There's a lot of people that don't feel that this is the time. As of last Friday, per the governor's webpage, all 67 counties are still in the substantial category for transmission. So it is no more safe now than it was in November. As of right now, families already have plans in place that are working for them. If we go back too soon and in a few weeks, numbers remain the same or get higher and we have to go back to virtual full time, now you have parents scrambling again to find childcare or take more time off to get their kids reacclimated to the virtual schedule. You have the students struggling again due to the back and forth of here and there, struggling with schedules again. I believe that part of what makes students successful is consistency. They need that. Actually, adults do too, and so does the staff. Consistency is what they have right now, so why not let them keep that? If you do decide to bring them back, they should all come back at the same time. Our secondary students have missed a lot more in-person school, and if it's safe for one to come back, it should be safe for them all. We also have this vaccine out now, so why are we rushing? Why don't we try to give it time to work so we can just all go back all in? There's no perfect world where kids are actually going to stay 6 feet apart or leave their masks on all day. They're kids. These kids struggle well in class with masks on. They can't hear or understand the teachers as well with masks on either. There is no right decision here. It should be about the safety of the students first and foremost. Trust me, it breaks my heart for these kids to be struggling. I have one of my daughters who's a senior this year, and she wants to go back so badly to be able to finish off her senior year. She cries because she may not get prom or graduation, and she missed homecoming and so on. And I want her to have all those things. I would love for the kids to stay virtual just a little longer, so maybe these seniors could have a fighting chance at all those things that they hold so dear to their heart, that they've all looked forward to since they were kids. Also, please take into consideration your staff's concerns. Really listen to them. They're in this every day, all day. They see the struggles and the tears, but they also see the accomplishments and the laughter. They're superheroes as far as I'm concerned. They've been thrown into so many different roles to start with, and now they have had so much more added to their daily routine. They deserve to have the biggest opinion during this time. So please really listen to them. They're living it every day. And on a different note, as an employee, I'd love to hear of a plan that will allow you to compensate employees that have to quarantine due to exposure more than once. We have no choice but to stay off if told to do so. We should be compensated in some way for this. As of right now, we get 10 days of pay. That covers one quarantine. If we go back to school and put ourselves in that position to be in close contact with students daily, that raises our chances of having to quarantine or getting COVID. Again, in a perfect world, you could say there shouldn't be close contact, but who are we kidding? Especially in special education rooms. There's no option but to be in close contact. It's part of the daily job, which we are more than happy to do, but the reality is that some can't mask and some can't stay 6 feet apart.
the reality is that in those cases, the likelihood is higher for your staff to get sick or for your staff to get a student sick. The last note of, as far as that goes, as a special ed aide, there were some of us that were furloughed that we took other jobs while we were furloughed, you know, had second jobs that we relied upon to keep us going. And we feel that, you know, if we are to come back, that we're given a significant amount of time to do so, so that we can prepare our other employers and not leave them high and dry just for scheduling purposes. So I really appreciate you listening and listening to everybody that called in. Have a good night. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello?
Is this Linda Kipple?
Yes, it is.
This is Dr. Prietel. You are in public comment at the Altoona Area School Board Special Board Meeting. Your 5 minutes.
Okay. Thank you. Hi, I am the great-grandmother, or Gigi, to 3 students in the Altoona Area School District. Their ages are 11, 7, and 5. 5 days a week, I'm responsible for the 11-year-old, and 3 days a week for all of them. I feel I am failing them and acquired an education. I appreciate all you are doing, but it's just not working. Today, for instance, from 9 to 11, the 5 and 7-year-old had Zoom, while the 11-year-old worked on assignments. Then came 3 staggered lunch periods. At 12 o'clock, the 5-year-old and 7-year-old worked on seesaw assignments for 3 hours, while the 11-year-old had school. Now, how can you keep a 5 and a 7-year-old focused for 3 hours on seesaw assignments? I have not found a way. Then at 3 o'clock, the 7-year-old has LLI one-on-one with the teacher. I honestly think that if we can't safely get them back in school, they should all repeat this year. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Yeah, wrong number, sorry.
Hello?
Well, is this Crystal Oaks?
Yes.
This is Dr. Prietel at the special board meeting of the Altoona Area School District. This is public comment. You have 5 minutes.
Thank you. First, I wanted to address the school board members, and I've noticed that that their emails have been updated to the school board page. I know some board members state that they speak to parents and members of the community, but no one has offered proof of that. How do we as members of the community not know that our board member statements are just not that of their own opinion? Not one board member has offered any valid information brought from members of the community. For example, you know, I've received X amount of emails from parents, teachers, in regards to whatever topic. Board has not made our parent surveys public for us to see what the majority of the community is asking for, wanting, or expecting from our district. Is there even a community forum for us as a community to address our board members? And how do we have a conversation with our board members if we can't speak to that? Having a conversation is not me calling in and making a statement or sending an email. Secondly, in regards to the district, it is important that consistency and fairness be brought to these students. As stated before, consistency is important in any child's life, adult life, etc. Flip-flopping from in-person to hybrid to virtual is not providing a solid, stable education. So my concern is for not only every student to be given every opportunity that is provided while being in school, but the instability and uncertainty that the board is giving these students. Previously, when children went back to school in the hybrid model, there were students, and this is an example, there were students that were sent home to quarantine to await the results of a possible exposure. However, in this instance, the said person was negative. And while the students could have been in school, the district waited 2 weeks to notify parents and students that the results were negative. Meaning the school officials had denied the students what is their right to be in school and be provided an education that works for those students. I just, in a personal note, it's just an example, but you know, if you go to an ER doctor, if you go to the ER to the hospital, you expect to be treated and be seen in person by a doctor. Just as though it is our right to send our children to school and expected to be have our children taught in person by a teacher. It's the same thing. You don't go to an ER and expect somebody to see you on a computer screen. We don't expect our students to be seen, to have a teacher teach them on a computer screen. That's the purpose of having a school and having a school district. I just want to thank you for your time.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Yep.
Hello?
Is this Katie Buchanan?
Yes, this is her.
This is Dr. Priatel at the Altoona Area School District's School Board Special Meeting. This is public comment. You have 5 minutes.
First, I wanted to say thank you for calling me. I'd like to start by asking if Mr. Hoover is listening.
Yes, he is.
Good, because based on how he treats his fellow board members who are women, he clearly does not like listening to women speak. And what I have to say matters and is important. I'd like to voice my opinion and say that I believe my kids need to be in school. I have one that is struggling and one that is completely bored. Fortunately, I have a very kind employer who has been gracious enough to allow me to bring my children to work with me. Or else I don't know what I would have done throughout this entire process. What I can tell you is that this is not working. Every day I sit there and wonder why the CDC, Dr. Fauci, Dr. Levine, and other top officials believe that children should be in school. But you all want to let one board member bully you into making decisions that affect thousands of other people's lives. During the last several board meetings, I've heard many callers acknowledge the risk of COVID-19 and still beg you to keep their children in school. Yet the majority of you completely ignored their feelings and went with your own feelings. In my opinion, you were elected to be a voice for the everyday people, the parents, the students, and yet you all just bowed down to a situation that best suits you and the administration without consideration of the detrimental effects caused to families and the students themselves. Next, I'd like to say, if there's anything we have learned from this entire situation, it's that teachers don't get paid enough. I know that Brad Hatch and Dr. Priatel were a major component in the decision to go virtual. At one point, Brad Hatch stated something to the effect that contact tracing was just too much. Well, here's a news flash for Dr. Priatel and Brad Hatch. Everyone's jobs in every sector have gotten significantly harder in this post-COVID era. We don't have the luxury of manipulating our bosses into closing work just because something is too hard. These are two people who in the 2018-2019 school year made a combined income of at least $289,915. Maybe it would benefit the board to get rid of these two and disperse their salaries to the people who are doing all of the work, the teachers, while they sit back and, go to meetings, all because contact tracing was just too hard. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I just want to say there's a policy out, no name calling of board members, whoever it is, me or whoever. Just say board member, whoever, call them.
Hello?
Hello, Alana Rader.
Yes?
This is Dr. Priatel, the Altoona Area School District School Board Special Meeting.
Hi.
This is public comment. You have 5 minutes.
Thank you. I just wanted to actually not even comment. I just kind of want to tell you about what my daughter has been going through right now. She has been going to daycare since the last shutdown, face to face every day. She's been doing her schoolwork, has been doing awesome. She's doing great with it. She has only ever had one occurrence where she has been with COVID. She had to quarantine for a week and nothing came of it. She was fine. There is ways that they can safely go to school and still not, be affected by COVID. She's been going to school. Like I said, she's been going to daycare every single day. They wear a mask every day from the time she gets there to the time she's picked up. She does her schoolwork well. She gets it done every day. And we've only ever had one problem with COVID, and she wasn't even positive. She was just, there. So there are ways that they can go to school safely with their teachers without being at risk. She is in 5th grade. This is her last year of elementary school. She has already missed a lot, and I don't want her to miss any more. They've only got a few months left, and I want them to try to be able to do what they can do. She got a patrol belt. She wasn't able to use it. Are they going to have a recognition? Are they going to be able to do the things that the last year of elementary school kids can do because of COVID? It's clearly not going anywhere anytime soon. I work in the healthcare field. We see it. I haven't missed a day of work since it started. I have been very fortunate that I haven't gotten COVID. I've been very, very careful. I'm out in it every day. It is very possible for things to go well with COVID. I understand the risk. And like I said, I'm very fortunate that my child does very, very well. But I have a lot of friends and a lot of family whose children do not. And there are ways that it can be done safely without putting the kids in risk, but they need to be back to school. It's time. It's been so long. Clearly not going to get any better anytime soon, and they just need some normal. Like I said, we've all voiced our opinions. You keep closing down the schools, and nothing's getting any better. Numbers are still going up. It's clearly not working. Let's just let our kids enjoy their friends and their school in the way that they need to be and do it safely. And it can be done. My daughter's doing it right now, and she's doing awesome, and things are going great. I haven't missed a day of work. She missed 1 week of daycare. She's a healthy kid, no COVID. It's been fine. It can be done. You have to be smart about it. But I just wanted to let you guys know that it can be done. It's happening now. You just have to put some thought into it.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Wait. I thought she was done.
Hello?
Michelle Schroff,
Yes.
this is Dr. Prietel. You are speaking to the Altoona Area School Board at their special meeting. This is public comment. You have 5 minutes.
Thank you. I just wanted to say first and foremost, I appreciate the board giving parents the opportunity to speak. I wanted to address that I am in favor of the students returning to face-to-face in some fashion. I just want you guys to understand my position there. I have a senior in the high school and a second grader at McCall Heights. My senior student struggles with attention deficit. For those who don't understand attention deficit, when kids have this diagnosis, if they're getting too much screen time, they're not regular with their sleep, they can fall into depression and develop anxiety. Recently, I had to approach the high school regarding an absence for him as he was significantly struggling emotionally, simply needed a break to get himself together and get some things addressed. He was marked illegally absent, even though I explained the reasons for his absence in an email to the guidance counselor, hoping she would reach out to the assistant principal. Since him having to be home and learning virtually, I've seen a decline in his emotional well-being, and we're in a place where I now need to reach out for extra support for him due to a decline in his emotional well-being. I've addressed this concern with the school, yet never received any feedback from the guidance counselor, and basically my administration was told, except for them to say that they would reverse the absence, they would look to modify the schedules for the kids, which has happened, but never anything yet from the guidance counselor. The lack of care and consideration given to him was disheartening. Sorry. I was not looking for a modified schedule or reverse absence. I was asking for help as a parent of a struggling young man. I feel this age group in the senior high is drowning and in severe need of support. I feel the senior high needs to really look at their students and have extra supports reaching out to their students and parents. Also to ensure that the gas tanks of these young adults are not running on empty, and to ensure they are getting the help they need when struggling emotionally. If virtual learning is what is needed as per the school district, then other supports beyond teachers need to step up and be aware of the overwhelming issue related to these young adults' emotional well-being. My second grader, he is maintaining his grades. His teacher has been amazing and very helpful. Without her, he would be struggling significantly. That being said, I continue to see him more introverted the longer he stays away from school and is away from the traditional structure. I also see a decline in his academic skills. He's been at the top of his class for reading in kindergarten and first grade. When happened to be reading now, I'm faced with whining and almost crying that he needs help as he's trying to become more dependent upon me for assistance. He asked for help at areas where he would never have before and is trying to have me basically complete the work for him. We've never had this issue with him. He's always been very independent as a student. I also see his anxiety increase when he cannot turn on a video or unmute himself to answer during a Zoom session, even though I repeatedly tell him it will be okay. I want the school board to understand that I've spent my entire career since graduating college in human services. So I'm speaking tonight as a mom and as a social service worker. These kids are struggling emotionally, academically, socially. I hear the teacher struggles daily to keep the kids focused when they're on Zoom. It is time for the kids to go back face to face in some way. I'm asking the school board to consider the students' overall well-being when making their decisions. Other school districts out locally have worked something out. It's time Altoona does the same. Let the parents be the deciding factor of the student's education and how it's received. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello?
Is this Tara Steinbugle?
Speaking.
This is Dr. Prietel at the Altoona Area School Board special meeting. This is public comment. You have 5 minutes.
Thank you.
first off, I want to thank you for taking my call. I'm going to ask you to please consider voting that children return to 5-day in-person learning. Our children are suffering academically, socially, emotionally, and mentally. My once highly motivated honor student now feels lost, disorganized, and indifferent about school. She went from a high A student to grades in the mid-80s. My other daughter thrives on the structure of being in the classroom, and her grades are suffering significantly. Students are failing. They're depressed and unmotivated. This year's senior class has basically lost everything. I want you to think back to your senior year and how much it meant to you to have homecoming, prom, football and basketball games, walking the halls, joking with friends, the camaraderie, and basically enjoying the last of your childhood. As adults, we can go into the workplace and interact with others. These students have not had that luxury. They've been stuck at home in front of a computer for most of their waking hours for the past 5 months. Let them attend class with their friends and classmates who will all go their separate ways next year. Let them receive instruction and interact in person with their teachers. Give them back a sense of normality. Surrounding school districts have proven that children can safely be in school. State College School District, which is similar in size to Altoona, has been virtual for only a total of 6 weeks this entire school year. I run a school in State College, and we have been closed for only 1 week. Granted, it is a private school, but only 1 week. Whereas our junior and senior high students have only been in school for a total of 5 days. Parents have the choice of virtual instruction for their children if that is what's most comfortable for them, or to accept the risk and send them in person. Parents have filled out all the surveys that you've sent, and overwhelmingly they've answered that they want their children in school, in person, 5 days a week. By keeping children 100% virtual or hybrid, you have taken that choice away from us. In my opinion, it's simple. If parents are not comfortable sending their children to school, they should keep them home. If they're comfortable with the risk, then send them. You are the only obstacle to this choice. Thank you.
Thank you. Ah. Back to Dominic. I got it right.
Hello.
Dominic.
Yeah.
Dominic Canonico, this is Dr. Prietel at the Altoona Area School Board Special Meeting. This is public comment. You have 5 minutes, sir.
Hey, I just want to thank you for, doing what you're doing there for the children and whatnot. I know it's a difficult thing you guys got going on, but one way or the other. I just want to voice, as far as my child, she has hearing impairment, special needs. The video thing, with her situation just isn't working out. She's doing one-on-one Zoom meetings with the teachers. She can't hear it. They're asking her questions, and every answer she gives them is yes. And their response is, good job. And in my book, that's not her learning. I understand this thing can be scary. A lot of people are afraid of it. But a lot of people aren't afraid of it neither. I really feel like it should be up to the parents. If they want to keep their kids home, great. If they need to send them, we should be able to send them. I've been calling up the school the first 2-3 weeks of this thing, trying to get packet work for my kid. And I'm being told I can't even get packet work for her, that it's all done through virtual. And I don't think that's fair neither. And lastly, what I really don't think is fair is keeping the kids home from school, but they can go to sports games and practices. It's really unfair to keep these kids home, but then to send them if they're in sports. Other than that, I'm not going to waste your time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Tim Heilman?
Yes, yes.
This is Dr. Prietel, the Altoona Area School Board Special Meeting. This is public comment. You have 5 minutes.
Hi, Dr. Pietel. Thanks for calling me. Board members, Dr. Pietel, staff that's present. I just wanted to address you like I did previously, just to get you up to date on where we're at with the COVID-19 situation in our area, what our outbreak looks like, and what our numbers are. I want to go over also where we're at with the vaccines, because of the whole situation with the vaccine is very fluid right now. So I think it's important, if you're going to make a decision about sending kids back to school or hybrid or whatever, that you have all the information necessary to make a good decision based on data and not so much on maybe opinions and whatnot. But with that said, today we're in a region of number of cases per 100,000 that would be 418 cases per 100,000 residents. That definitely, based on the Department of Education, Department of Health guidelines, puts us in a substantial area. Not only that, the infection rate is at basically a 1. That infection rate means every person who gets it transmits to nearly one person. So that's a significant thing. It's been pretty steady, that rate, throughout the pandemic. So we haven't seen a drop off in that at all. The other numbers you need to look at for the substantial area is greater than 10% in a positivity rate. In the last 7 days, our positivity rate is 10.3. So some of these numbers have gone down from where we were at a couple of weeks ago, but they're still higher than we went hybrid and then out of school in person. So, the current numbers are not showing that we're out of the woods yet. And I think it's pretty easy, and I think it's the board's well aware that parents want to have their kids back in school, and I think that everybody is wanting that. I would definitely want my kids back in an in-school setting. It's the best way to get their education, and there's no doubting that. But at this point in time, we have to look at, especially from my point of view, from an emergency management standpoint, I have to look at resources that we have in the community and help give information for our stakeholders in the community to make a decision based on facts and where we're at. Today, we are just as bad off as we were case-wise, a number of cases that are in the hospital, number of ventilators being used than we were when we took the kids out of school. Now, that's the bad news. The good news is I had a phone call today with Dr. Burwell, who's Vice President and Quality Control Officer for UPMC, and we went over some of the facts that that we have right now going on as far as the hospitals and the vaccines, and I just wanted to verify some of that information with him before I came on, and some of the things he talked about is that in December our mortality rate at UPMC went up 300% due to COVID deaths. 300% increase in mortality rate. Now I've heard some folks, not necessarily tonight here, but I've heard it in the past. I listened to the Aldiesburg School Board meeting last night, and I heard people saying, well, the children, the death rate among children is only 0.19%. We've had 18,000 deaths in Pennsylvania, a little more than that actually. That means roughly 342 people that are high school age and younger have passed away from COVID. I don't know, how you can equate a low percentage and say that's not a bad thing, especially if it comes to your school district, your school, or your family. One death is too many, especially when we know what we can do to solve this. To solve this problem, we've got to continue to wear masks, socially distance ourselves, and make sure our we have the place we can wash and sanitize hands, and we need to be able to do that consistently, not once in a while, not without breaks, but all of it, all the time. So that's very important. As far as the other things we talked about was the number of patients. According to the Department of Health, the
County and UPMC, we have approximately 80 patients, which are inpatient at UPMC. Just over 15 of those are on ventilators, which again, we're well within our capacity, but any surge above where we're at now is going to tax our resources. And that comes to, being able to treat people without COVID problems, people with heart attacks, people with cancer, other issues that they need to have critical care. They're not going to have a bed to go to when we have these high numbers of inpatients and whatnot. And one of the things we want to try to do is limit those exposures. Now, granted, can you go back to school and maybe not see a lot of cases develop right away? Maybe. But here again, when one person gets it, they're transmitting it to at least one other person. And that goes to your resources in the school district, your most important resources, your teachers and your support staff. Without them, you can't have in-school teaching and learning. So based on these numbers and based on where we're at today, a key factor in protecting those resources, your teachers and your support staff, is getting them vaccinated. And one of the good things, the good news is that teachers and all school administrators, school board members, anybody that has anything to do with the operation of the school is 1B level of during the breakdown as far as who can get vaccines at what phase. Phase 1B is the next phase. We are finishing up to 1A as we speak. All of the firefighters now had the opportunity today to get vaccinated. Next week, we're going to get most of the police done, including the school district police, which we've totaled into our numbers to get them vaccinated. So as these folks get vaccinated, the risk with going back to school full time in person goes down. So at this point, what I would say is, based on the fact that we're this close to being able to have this vaccine out and having one more tool in our toolbox to be able to limit the spread of this disease, night would be kind of putting the cart before the horse. I think really the decision that needs to be made now is, okay, let's look at this. How many days reasonably do we need to hold off until we make a decision to go maybe into a situation where you're moving incrementally into hybrid and then into the in-school learning. And I'm looking right now, based on the number of vaccines we have, we're getting ready to operate our pod at the VA, which now includes getting all the teachers and school staff administered vaccine. Prior to this week, they were in 1C, which meant they would not get done until all the police, fire, and some other critical workers were done. But the state has decided to make teachers a higher level. With that in mind, and having in mind wanting to protect our resources, again, one of the goals of emergency management is to have the right resources at the right time to do what you need to do. The best decision will be wait to see how long it's going to take to get your folks vaccinated. Within the next 30 days, we'll either have them vaccinated or have a good time frame when we can get them all vaccinated. And certainly within, within weeks, not months, we're talking days and weeks, not months, that this vaccine is going to be available to the school staff. So with that being said, I think, it certainly is not my place to tell the school board what to do. And you guys know what's best for our kids and our teachers. But I think having this information, knowing that we're, days and weeks away from getting the vaccine started, where you can protect your most important resource in education, your teachers and staff.
8 minutes. 8 minutes.
I think it would go a long way to say, let's not put the cart before the horse, and let's get those protections, mitigation procedures in place, so we can go back full time and not have to regress and put kids back out of school, and just kind of rearrange what's normal all over again.
Tim?
We can do this slowly.
I want to ask him a question.
Get there with what we need to be. So with that, if you have any questions from any of the board, that's all I have, Dr. Freestyle, and I appreciate the time again.
Well, I have a question for you. I read that our state has only sent out 34% of the vaccines that are available. Why is that happening?
Okay, so this week that has actually changed. What had happened was the supply chain, they didn't know exactly how much that we were going to get in Pennsylvania within these supply chains through the federal government. So what has happened was, okay, so if they say X amount of people are to get vaccinated, they only send out that amount so that in 30 days when you get your second dose, they wanted to make sure they had a second dose for everybody. So they were holding on to the vaccines and not sending them all out at once. Because once you send them out, you have to administer them all to everybody right then and there. You have 48 hours to get it done. And with the Pfizer vaccine, it can even be more complicated because you got to keep it at a very low temperature. So the reason why there was a slow rollout was because there was vaccines being held back for that second dose because we weren't sure about production. We were told this week by the federal government and by the state government that the production is there and to give out all the vaccine that we have. So we went from basically this week's fire department from not having any idea when our first vaccines were going to be available. We were expecting maybe by the end of February, March to, hey, this Thursday we need you to come in and get vaccinated. So that's how quickly it's changing. And it's because the situation is fluid and information initially being put out by the federal government was unclear as to, were these shots for both the first and second vaccine, or was it for just the first? Well, now we know it was for just the first. So these are now rolling out. One of the other problems with the rollout of the vaccine has been a limited number of federally contracted pharmacies that can provide the shots to people. And they just did a huge increase in the number of contracted federally contracted pharmacies. So now you're going to see a lot more pharmacies, medical centers that have pharmacies, and even PCPs now being contracted to be able to give the vaccine. So we're seeing this changing very quickly. There was a slow rollout because people weren't sure. Now that they're getting the message that, hey, this is going to be there for us, it's going to be much better. Now that being said, the hospitals and some of the folks around here right now, we're still waiting for that supply chain to catch up. And it's not quite there yet. I mean, it's only been 2 days since they made the announcement. So that's where we're at with the vaccine. But like I said, I'm expecting to when it does roll out, that it's going to change quickly and fastly.
Well, mathematically, it doesn't make sense if they were holding back for the second shot. It should have been 50% of them given out because there's only 2 shots. What happened to the other 16? That maybe could have vaccinated our teachers.
That very well could have been. And I'm not in charge of the supply chain management of the vaccines, but I can tell you that I've talked to the Department of Health, and I've talked with the county EMA and state FEMA representatives, and the fact is, the reason why it was held, why all the shots weren't given out at one time is because nobody was sure whether or not we were going to have enough for the second round, which would have wasted all that 37% if they didn't have enough to cover it. So, and a lot of that too is based on the changing in who was going to get vaccinated. We're on version 4 right now of the list of people who are up for vaccines. It took till version 4 to get teachers onto that higher level. So at this point, because of who's getting vaccinated, who shouldn't get vaccinated, all that was changing and fluid. You're going to hear all kinds of numbers, and that 37% tomorrow could be 55%. Based on the reporting and how quickly the information gets back to the state, which we don't.
So basically what you're telling me is the information from the state is never correct. You have to be suspect of that. Okay.
Well, no, I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is sometimes reporting is slow. So they'll give out reports each day of where they're at, but it might be 2 days before they get the updated information. So what I'm saying is you can't take data from what you saw last week and apply it to what's going on today. It has to be current data from the state. And so that information is always going to be correct when you get it. It's just you can't keep that data that you got last week and apply it to everything going forward. It just doesn't work that way.
Well, and they've had contracts with pharmacies for quite some time. I know a pharmacist that I'm working with right now, and they've had the contract since last year. So they're slow walking this, and it needs to be speeded up.
They had the contract, but they couldn't do the shots. Tim, one thing I want to know, I was going to bring up tonight that I wouldn't send teachers back unless they get the vaccine, or the staff back unless they get the vaccine. And hearing this tonight, I thought maybe that we could have gotten the vaccine sometime next week, because it's a 2-week period that the vaccine will kick into 50%, correct?
I mean, that's what has been reported. Yes.
Right. So if it's 2 weeks for 50% effective, and then when you get your booster, you go to 93 or 95. But so my question is, how long are we going to wait a while?
Multiple different kinds of vaccines, but if you're talking about Moderna, that's correct.
Right. If do we have to wait a while for the vaccine? Because I was hoping that we would have our staff, bus drivers, teachers, cafeteria workers, immunized so we could go back on the 1st. So that's not going to be a possibility?
I cannot tell you at this point an exact date or when exactly it's going to be available for all the 1B level. But I can tell you that expectations that were that actually today that it would be announced as early as today of when the 1B can start being vaccinated. So I anticipate within the next week we're going to have an idea of exactly when they're going to open it up. And as soon as they do, one of the things that we're doing here in the city in conjunction with Blair County EMA and the Veterans Administration Medical Center is we have the state mandated pod planned and organized. We exercised it in October. We got our plan validated by the state. We are one of the few pods, in any of the counties in Pennsylvania that have actually done the pod and had it inspected by DOH and approved. And we're looking for them to go to us as a pilot project to be able to do it, see how it works, and we'll be one of the first ones. And this pod would include all 1B vaccinations, which would include teachers. So actually today we lined it up, we lined everything up in the parking lot out there to be able, we're going to have it set up. Tomorrow we're actually going to set the tents up for practice to make sure we can get all that stuff and the logistics are all in place. We actually did the exercise back in October and we were able to vaccinate nearly 400 veterans with the flu vaccine in a couple of hours. And our throughput with the time that you have to wait now, we know for sure is 15 minutes. We were nearing 200 people an hour to get done. And we're estimating over 2,500 people to get done in the first round, which would include some teachers and as many as we can get in there for that. So I can't give you a date, but I can tell you we're more than ready.
Okay, thank you.
As soon as they release the vaccine. So I certainly agree with you that the rollout of the vaccine was slow. There's a lot of misinformation out there, but I can tell you that as soon as those shots are made available, and Dr. Burwell, confirmed that UPMC has the capacity to do the vaccines too, and they're just waiting for the vaccines to get to them. And with this knowledge that this Operation Warp Speed is opening up these vaccines, we should see the supply chain catch up and hopefully this week be able to give some more definitive ideas of when the shots will be here.
Could I ask a question real quick? Can Tim hear me?
Tim, can you hear Rick?
Yes, I can.
Okay. I was looking at the numbers and this was an eye opener to me. From the period of, I believe it was December 7th to January 12th, if I was looking at the numbers right, we had over 100 deaths in this area alone in that time period due to COVID. Is that accurate?
Yes, that's accurate.
So we had over 100 deaths in a little over a month from COVID right here in Altoona.
Yes, we did.
Thank you.
I can tell you from our work with the county EMA and the folks here that it's a sad thought that we would have to talk about not having enough space in our mortuaries and having our funeral homes completely inundated in a short period of time with this many deaths. It was an eye opener to us all. And let me tell you what, the last thing you want to do as an emergency planner is have to figure out where we're going to put bodies from deaths from a disease. I mean, this is something that I never expected in my lifetime that I would be talking about. And I probably seem alarmist to some folks, but the truth of the matter is, it's here. This is reality. Reality is, less than a month ago, we were one of the hottest spots in the country, and the mortality rate went up 300% in 1 month, and we're not even a month away from it. So for me to sit here and say, hey, yes, put the kids back in school, I wouldn't feel I would be doing my duty as an emergency management coordinator and not providing you with the right information. I'm saying we're going to get there. We'll get there this year. And we'll get there, so that the kids can get back and have some time in school. But the time to do that is not right in the middle of the rollout of the biggest mitigation thing that we've had since the beginning of this. I think we need to take a deep breath, hope that these vaccines can start getting rolled out like we planned, and give our kids, give our teachers and our support staff all the tools that they can have so that they can go back full-time, face-to-face without having the worries of doing, one or the other or going back and forth because our cases jumped and the Department of Health is telling us you got to close schools.
One more.
Hey, Tim.
Guys, and that was something that we have to look at in the future is a real possibility if we go back too soon.
Hey, Tim, can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Do you have the statistics on the ages of the deaths? I'm just curious how many are school aged, how many would range for the teacher's age, that sort of thing.
I don't have a breakdown right in front of me. That information is available on the Pennsylvania Department of Health website. But I will tell you, I did look up the death rate among school-age children, high school age down to elementary, and it was 0.1%. But when you look at the number of fatalities that we have, it's still an alarming number. I mean, yeah, you're 0.1%, but when you're talking about 0.1% of 18,000 or 1 million, that's a lot. That's a lot. And the problem here is we're just a tiny microcosm of the larger picture, and our resources are much easily extinguished and put out, completely. Some of the bigger areas, Pittsburgh or Philadelphia is going to get all the resources when they have large increases in clusters of cases. The cases, Blair County is in the middle, and being out here in the middle between Pittsburgh and Philly, we're not going to get the resources they get right away. So just like the shots and vaccines, if you talk to co-workers in Pittsburgh or Philadelphia, they got their shots last week. So we're just a little bit behind because we're out here in the middle and we don't have the population centers that they have. But the bottom line is one death is too many as far as I'm concerned, especially when we have the mitigation things right in front of us to be able to use.
Can I ask one more question? Mr. Hellman, have they looked into, we're just coming out of the holidays. Have we looked at the impact coming out of the holidays? And I also know we had 5 busloads of people that went down to the rally in Washington last week. Have we factored in those when we're looking at the stats as to how this is expected to spread?
As emergency managers, we don't have crystal balls. We can't say, this is going to cause this many more cases, but we can look at the past and look at the data that we have. Thanksgiving was a huge indicator for what happened in December. People got together as usual, didn't social distance, kind of just ignored the pandemic and this disease. And what happened was in December, we increased our mortality rate 300%.
Wow.
So, we had Christmas, family gatherings were going to happen, whether they should have or not. The numbers of people gathering were larger than probably they should have. We've got rallies and different things that people did. And we can't know exactly what that's going to do, but we can look in the past and see Thanksgiving get 300% increase in mortality. So that's the best answer I can give you, Rick.
I want to thank you so much for calling in, Tim.
Anybody else have any questions for Tim Howland? Go ahead, Ron.
I have a question, probably more so for you, Doc. We're going to vaccinate our bus drivers and teachers. How about next door to CTC? Could they join us? And
they should be working on the same process we're working on, from the standpoint that that we've all been asked to create list tallies of all of our teachers who are willing to be vaccinated. We put that out yesterday. What's our collection count at this point? It was 900 and something. We have 1,150 employees. We're over 1,000 in less than 24 hours. Approximately 2/3 of the people who I had at 3 or 4 o'clock today said they wanted to be vaccinated. We have about 690 of the 900 and some that said they wanted to be vaccinated. We're creating the list. We're creating all the documents that the Department of Health, the emergency services people need. And then what we're going to have to do is we're working with Empower and we're working with Tim with the pod. We're also working with the hospital. We'll work with whoever else has them. And what our plan is that we will, if somebody says I've got 50 doses, we're going to look at our sheet and say, what building needs 50? We're going to send those people over. And likewise, I don't want to assume, but I believe that Eric's trying to do the exact same thing over there.
So do we have a provider set up to vaccinate us, or no, we haven't done that yet?
We have the hospital, but the hospital has no doses. I just talked to Mike Corso yesterday.
Okay.
I mean, they have doses, don't get me wrong, but they don't have doses for us. We have Empower who's working off of Thompson's surplus, but he can only give them in waves. If Thompson gets 2,000 doses, Empower will have 200 for us. So he can do so. So every time Thompson gets a shipment, because Bill is willing to share those with Empower, we will be able to get so many people done. Tim Heilman, when the pod opens, and the pod's going to open, and it could open, it's not going to open tomorrow, but it could be opening early next week. He'll be, like, as he said, he'll be able to fire through almost everybody we have in a day. But we have to be prepared, and we have put everything we have to be prepared.
Then we have to wait 4 weeks to get the second shot.
21 days, but
Well,
you're
it
right.
depends which one. The Moderna's 28 days, the other one's 3 weeks. And then after that,
Moderna's 28?
Moderna's 28, Pfizer's 3 weeks.
Okay, all right.
So then,
I knew one was 21 days.
And then after that, it's on the CDC website. Vaccines that require 2 shots may not protect you until a week or 2 after your second shot.
96%, 94% after your second shot, 50% after your first shot.
So when do we send people back, after their first shot or second?
After the first shot, that's what I would do. You get
Okay.
50%. So it's 90-some% after your second shot. I know that because I just got mine today, and I asked the pharmacist what it was. So that's the reason
So
I
we're not
know.
going to send them back after the first shot, not after.
Pardon me?
The proposal is to send them back after the first shot.
I would recommend bringing him back after the first shot.
Yeah, I go back in 2 weeks for my second shot.
The Moderna shot, which is most likely what we're going to get, is 28 days. So you have 28 days to get your second dose.
Is that
and that puts 95%.
Tim, can I ask a question? Is it 28 days you have to wait, or is it 28 days you have to get the shot? Meaning you can get the shot in 2 weeks versus 28 days you have to start all over again
You gotta wait 28 days.
to get the shot.
Right.
After 28 days after the first shot?
Yes.
After your first shot?
Mine today.
So do I.
February 11th.
So do I. That's when I go back. So that, I thought it was 2 weeks after the 50% kicked in.
Well, today is the 14th. So going back on 11th is basically a month.
Okay, so it's 2 weeks.
28 days.
28
Okay.
days.
Yeah, all right. And that's when the 90% projectile, 92, 93 will kick in after your second shot.
Yeah, and I think that again, I recommended my earlier comments about talking about the transitional approach to going back in, and that transitional approach would be when you have the first shot, going to a hybrid or leaving the high school in and bringing the elementary kids back, or however that does. But that's going to be that's going to be a good bit of time down the road, especially when we don't know exactly when the shots are going to be yet.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Tim. Unless anybody else has another question?
No.
Thank you very much.
Okay, moving on. We need a motion for the return to face-to-face instruction.
So moved.
No, we need to
No.
have,
We need the motion made first.
now, our motion is that February 1st,
Can I say something
Sure,
before
go
you
ahead.
give your motion?
sure.
I am extremely disappointed in the way that this was handled. I think it's very unprofessional. We received an email on Monday asking us that we are seeing a drop in the infection rates, and you would like to pull the board about the return to the AB hybrid learning model for all grades, starting on the 25th, which you had 5 yes responses to. Okay? At 3:13 today, after the close of public comment, we received this motion right here. I was prepared to vote on the motion that was sent out on Monday. I had no idea that it was being changed. However, I feel certain other people knew that it was being changed because my dad said something to me yesterday that you're only voting to send the elementary back. I said, no, we aren't. He's like, yes, you are. That's what I heard. I'm like, well, then you heard something that the school board wasn't informed on. I don't think that it is fair to us to get this at 3:13 today. People don't even know what they're calling into public comment about.
And we just got this tonight.
And the real kicker is that Mrs. Bream, the president of the board, wasn't informed of the motion prior to the email that was sent out today. I mean, I think the president of the board should know what the motion that's being recommended is. I'd like to know how many people knew about the motion prior to 3:13 today.
How many people did?
Dr. Malloy, did you know about it?
I read it the same as you, but I can just say this. You can make a motion in any format. I mean, you have a motion recommended by the administration, but doesn't mean it has to be accepted. You can make another motion. So I don't know what you're so upset about.
Well, I just think it was unprofessional.
I think that it shouldn't come out at 3:13 after the time of public comment. If you don't think that's unacceptable, then I don't know what is.
And then we just got this packet tonight with the details of it.
I just received an email. When did you send me your email, Eric? Monday night. Monday night you emailed me.
Was it Monday or Friday?
And it wasn't Friday because I sent the straw poll out Monday night. It was Monday.
Okay.
I was going to have the meeting Wednesday because I have to have 24 hours, but Sharon wasn't available for the meeting because she had to go to Cleveland. She had a doctor, a surgery for her son. So we made it today. Okay. Now, when I got the emails, when I got the responses, what I got was, yes, but, yes, but, yes, but, yes, but, I need this, I need that. Quite frankly, I can't base a decision on, yes, but I want this.
I understand that.
That's
but why
not a
did
yes.
the proposal change?
Exactly, it did. You're right. And I'm more than willing to go back to the other proposal and we can start with that. I have no problem with that.
I would appreciate that.
Okay, that's fine. Okay, so the proposal is what I put into the email because I'm fine with it. There's just a lot of things that have been changing over the last 2 days.
Okay.
Okay, the reason we put the packet together with the information we put together with, because that packet was generated at noon today with the latest information. We wanted the board to have the latest information. Okay, this is not like we've had 3 or 4 weeks to prepare. All right. The proposal that was brought to me, well, I changed it because I can't get the people back from furlough, and I can't get the bus drivers back from furlough, and I can't get the food workers back from furlough, and I can't get food for the cafeterias before the 25th. Is that correct, Susan? Yes. Okay, so what I asked the board was, this is the motion, bringing all children back hybrid as of Monday, the 25th. And it would be an A, B, A, B, A, B, A, and an A, B, A, B, B, because we need to match. We need to match up with the VOTEC, and they're running an A, B virtual day. So that way our kids will line up. And the next problem is if we don't line the high school, the secondary, elementary up with the high school, then we drive parents crazy because now they're trying to run 2 different schedules.
I agree.
So we adjusted that to A, B, A, B, A, A, B, A, B, B, so that we could make it all work and fit so our kids could work with the VOTEC. So the motion is that I sent out to the board. Are you in favor of bringing kids back on the 25th? A, B, it's a hybrid, and it would be K through 12. That's the motion.
Okay, so that's the motion that's on the table.
Right.
Can I have a motion and a second?
I'll make the motion. What about the special populations?
As you stated on your special populations is identified, and I gave you a list of what those classrooms would be.
Would they be
Special
hybrid or would they be full-time?
Special population. The full-time classrooms, et cetera, would be 5 days a week.
Okay, I mean, I just think it needs to be addressed in the motion also.
Right. Special populations would be 5 days a week.
Okay, so I make a motion starting on January 25th that we send all grades on an AB hybrid learning model and special populations would go full-time.
Your motion?
Is that correct? And a second?
Second.
Okay, thank you. Now it's open for discussion.
What good is hybrid for K to 5? Those parents, you heard them on the phone. They're begging for their kids to come back full-time.
Okay, I'll send elementary back full-time. I'm in favor of
Why
that.
not send an K to 5 full-time and 12 and 11 full-time? You know, and the others stay virtual. That's what should be done.
Okay, wait, why wouldn't we send 6 through 12 hybrid? Why are 6 through 10 not important?
12, they are important, but you don't have the room.
Yes,
You don't
we
have
do.
the room. You have rooms for 12 and 11 at the high school. That wasn't in play when we started in the fall.
Right.
It's in play now. So you can have 2 grades, social distance and wearing masks in the senior high. Then you have the elementary.
Why wouldn't we send?
Because we
hybrid?
cannot send everybody back. How can you send everybody back in social distance? How can, that's what I want to know. How are they doing it? There's something
They're
that I
not.
think, pardon me?
They're not.
Well,
But every other school district surrounding us is sending their kids back.
Yeah, and we had school districts that tried this that are now going back. They brought their kids in and now they're going back out. The same thing that happened with us.
Does Holdiesburg really back face to face for the entire district?
As of Tuesday, yes.
How's that happen? How do they social distance? Where are they putting the kid? I'm not knocking Holliesburg. God bless them. I wish we would do it. But we have to social distance and we have to abide by the state regs. We can't not do that.
But every other school district is sending all their elementary
But
kids
is,
back. So
is
how
that
can
right?
we be doing?
No, is that, we could do K to 5 like we did the beginning of the year. There was nothing wrong with that. I thought that, and people enjoyed it. You had all these people calling that you got to call in on the call-ins. They want their elementary kids in school full-time.
So does everyone else though.
But we can't afford to do that.
But
How about, you're not discriminating because you can't do
K
it.
to 5
You
back.
can't do it. You don't have the room.
Well, how's
Do you want to bring
Hollidaysburg
everybody
doing?
back and
Yeah,
just,
I do.
you want to bring everybody back and say, screw you, Department of Health, and
I do wanna bring
so you want to bring everybody back. That's your prerogative. I don't. I want to stay within the guidelines and I want to stay within our regulations and what's right for our kids. And another thing, we shouldn't start anything till our staff is vaccinated.
Yeah, and I would like to weigh in on that too. I feel that we need to take a deep breath. Yeah, we all want kids back in school, but we need to bring kids back in safely for all involved. As Tim pointed out quite clearly, our staff is our most precious resource. We got to protect them. And I think the idea of the vaccine being very close, we just need to be a little bit patient so we can bring them back and not have them in and out, in and out. The continuity is extremely important for kids. They can't handle well this getting in school and then having to be quarantined because so many teachers or even students have tested positive. I mean, the superintendent and board president signed an attestation saying we would follow guidelines. So no matter what we do, we still have to follow these guidelines. I think since we're so close to getting people vaccinated, I think we need to just wait, get them vaccinated, and then bring all the kids back, not the elementary and then the secondary after the second one. We need to bring them all back together, make it fair for every family. And that's how I would vote. I won't vote for bringing back full face-to-face right now. I won't vote for a hybrid right now. I feel very strongly we need to let the staff be vaccinated.
But we
Allow
are
me-
failing our kids.
Allow me to piggyback what Frank just said. The eye-opening, when I ran for this board, I had no idea that my decision that I made about something may impact people's health. And God forbid, a decision I made led to somebody passing away. Since December, We've had over 100 residents of this area die of this. We've had 100. I agree wholeheartedly with Frank. And I'm telling you, until we get our staff, every one of them vaccinated, so we get them protected, we cannot bring people back because we're doing a disservice to the very people we're relying on to educate the kids.
But
So,
it's
so
up to
Rick,
the
would you be
parents.
okay with a suicide on your hands? Because I think we're very close to having that in our area too.
Well, we do have it. We do have
106
suicides.
deaths, Kelly. 106 deaths in less than a month. 106. And might not be a kid. It might be somebody's aunt. It might be somebody's mother. It might be somebody's grandmother. And I'm telling you, it's not a pretty death. I recently had a friend go through it. They had to say goodbye to their mother on FaceTime. FaceTime. They couldn't hold her hand. They couldn't look in her eyes. They couldn't comfort her. And the nurses were crying. There is so much death right now because of this virus, and it's a worldwide pandemic. We don't live in a little bubble. This whole thing started in China. Did any of us possibly think that it could end up in Altoona? No. And all you got to do is look across the country right now. Look at California. It's exploding. Did we ever think that was going to come our way? It's headed our way. Get the staff vaccinated. Get them protected before we do anything else. Anything else would be a dereliction of duty.
Well, you bring up California. I think that's interesting because they have had the greatest lockdowns of anyone. And obviously it's not working. Lockdown is not the answer. We need to get these kids back into school. I spoke to a mother today who has a student that is an honor student who is now failing because of virtual education. This virtual education is not working. And that's why you have parents calling in here wanting their students back in school. And I think the parent is responsible to make that decision. And I rely on the parents. We are offering alternatives. By all means, if you feel your child shouldn't be in a school with other students, do the virtual, do the cyber. That is up to you as a parent to make that decision. That is not up to us to force their students to stay home, look at a computer screen all day and not get an education. And we're coming up on a year here. These kids have been out of school for almost a year. You have kids now looking at graduation again saying, am I not going to have graduation? Am I not going to have homecoming? Am I not going to have these things? I mean, this is crazy. We have to do the right thing for the students that want to come back. And Hollidaysburg did it. Hollidaysburg did it. Maybe we ought to call them and ask them how to do it. I know we're the largest district in Blair County, but a smaller district has figured out how to do it. Bellwood's been doing it. I know Tyrone is going back. So, and State College, there's schools over in State College that are going back. So, you know, we're hurting these kids. We've got to stand up and do the right thing for these kids and these families.
And I would add, we need to do the right thing for our staff. We also need to provide a healthy and safe work environment. And perhaps Hollidaysburg, why they did it, they had 5 people on their board saying that they wanted kids back face to face. And other school boards have done the same. So we need to get emotion out of this, and we need to try to be realistic. We need to each vote our conscience and do what we think is the best situation for our students and staff. And I think we can talk about this till the end of the night, but we're still all going to think the same way. And eventually we have to come up with a solution.
So do we have any statistics on the staff and how many would like to be back in school?
Well, I don't need statistics on the staff. I just know that probably there are many that want to do that, but we as a board have to make a decision, Kelly, period.
I know, but I'm saying if the staff feels comfortable coming back, why are we telling them no?
None of them called in to let you know. So I don't know how you know they are so comfortable.
Yes, they did. There was a teacher on the phone tonight.
No, that was a teacher's aide. And she also.
No, there was a teacher on the phone too. She didn't identify
Hey,
herself.
how about this? How about we just call the vote? How about that?
Yeah, let's do that because I think
Yeah,
you guys
let's
already
do
know
that.
what you're doing.
And what are we voting for?
The motion is to return hybrid, correct? 25th, AB, ABA, AB, ABB for K through 12. All self-contained classrooms and high needs special ed students 5 days a week. As determined by the special ed department to meet the children's needs.
Did we have a motion and a second?
Yeah, we
you
did.
All right, are we gonna vote?
Yes, we are. Could we have a roll call vote, please?
Mr. Baker,
No.
Mrs. Breen,
Okay, I'm voting no to the offer that's on the tape. I'm sorry. That's that's to bring them back on the 25th.
but AB,
Okay.
not all students, AB hybrid.
I would like all students.
Me too.
But no, I think the students should be back.
Mr. Francis,
No.
Mr. Hoff,
Yes.
Mr. Hoover,
No.
Mrs. Irwin Adams. Yes. Mr. Johnston,
No.
Mr. Cruz,
I'm a yes, but I want all students back.
Dr. Malloy,
No.
failed,
What is this?
6-3.
I would like to make a counter motion. I would like to make the motion that students will return back to school within 2 weeks following the completion of the first vaccination program offered to our staff.
I'll second that.
And this, I should amend this to say that it would be on a hybrid model. And I don't know if the second would agree to that.
No, I don't.
I will rescind that then.
You can have another second or so.
I would second that. I'm in favor of a phased reopening instead of bringing everybody back in mass. So I'll second Frank's amended motion.
So we have questions on this then?
There's
So
a motion second.
1/3 of the teachers already have said they don't want vaccinated. Is that correct?
We have approximately 1/3 of the entire staff.
Of the staff, okay.
I mean, it's probably closer to 70% have said yes, correct, Haley? I don't have the number. Numbers have been changing because we're trying to finish it up.
And we're not going to force them to be vaccinated?
Once we've offered them the vaccination, it's now their responsibility if they refuse to be vaccinated. Or they
So how are you
choose
going
not
to
to
keep
be
the spread
vaccinated.
from happening then?
You don't.
You can't, but it's a question of educating them and their professional peers trying to educate them. I mean, a lot of schools, you've seen these requests from associations to ask for additional time. One of the callers came in and said, give additional FFCRA time for that, what expired December 31st. There has been numerous motions, resolutions, memorandums, agreements all across the Commonwealth and a lot of school districts where the districts have indicated, we will not give that to you unless you get the vaccination. You know, but you still, the whole issue of vaccinations is a mandatory subject of bargaining. You have the ability to opt out for sincerely held religious belief. I know everybody in this room pretty much what your religious beliefs are, but based on your religion, there isn't really a religious belief based on your religion. And then the other is for medical reasons. So if you have certain medical conditions, treatments, you would expect at least closer to a 90% participation rate as opposed to 70. I mean, you can't like just throw them out and say you can't be employed anymore, but hopefully when people see that it's actually successful, you would hope that at least 90% of the population are better. It's also a significant dilemma for the PSEA, who represents a large majority of both support and teacher unions. They try to toe the line that, but behind closed doors, they shake their head why people would not get vaccinated. It's a real dilemma as how schools are going to continue to operate for the balance of the school year.
When I talked to the people at at UPMC, when I talked to Mike Corso and I talked to Val Mignon over at Empower, he said, if you have 1,100, 1,200 employees, you have to plan on 50 to 60% of them being vaccinated. He said, it's not going to be like you have 100%. And I felt very positive about the fact that we were basically heading towards 70% who were willing to be vaccinated. Because that was a stride, because they basically told me that half the people, upwards of half the people wouldn't want to be vaccinated.
Yeah, survey's due tomorrow, right?
The end of the survey's due by lunch tomorrow.
So you may have, a couple more. You may have a different.
We're going to have a more exact number. I mean, I'm pulling this off the top of my head because I had a telephone conversation with Lynn Lloyd at 3:30.
We're at 69% yes, with about 90% responses.
I'm just curious, the number of parents that respond to your survey, what's the percentage of parents?
I can tell you right now.
While you're doing that, I would like to make a motion that we bring all of the students back effective January the 19th.
We
I
still
wanna
have a
get people
motion on the
record.
floor.
We have a motion on the floor. We need to address that.
Thought we did.
No, we did not vote on it.
At all.
We're still in discussion. We haven't voted on it.
Madam President, can I move that we actually vote on whether or not we're going to take the vote right now and end discussion?
Call the question.
I'm calling the question.
May I clarify the motion, Dr. Malloy?
Yes. You want me to clarify it?
I
Okay.
have it that it's 2 weeks on a hybrid basis after the first teacher vaccination. Bring the students back.
Yes, and I understand, it's after the vaccination program is offered. So those that don't offer or take up the offer, that's their decision. But we've offered to create a safe environment for them.
And it's 2 weeks after the day it is offered, not when they start getting the shots, the day it's offered.
But the day that they would get the shot, because it sounds like they'll be able to get the shot very quickly, even within a day, the entire staff, from what Dr. Priatel said and what Tim Hellman just told us.
You should wait 2 weeks after the shot to make sure it's 50% effective.
That's what we're doing. We're trying to protect our staff.
Yeah, that's what my motion is, Dave.
Okay, and what I want is K to 5 full-time and 12 and 11 full-time face-to-face. And that's not going to happen, I don't think, by the, by what I heard on the board tonight. So, I'll defeat that. I know I'm not going to get that passed, but.
Mrs. Bream,
No.
Mr. Francis.
Yes.
Mr. Hoff,
No.
Mr. Hoover,
Yes.
Mrs. Irwin Adams,
No.
Mr. Johnston,
Yes.
Mr. Cruz,
No.
Dr. Malloy,
Yes.
Mr. Baker.
Yes.
Passes 5-4.
Okay, so I have something to say then. If that's the case, all our coaches are teachers, so they need to stop coaching at this point until they're vaccinated.
Is that a
Is that a
motion?
motion?
I don't know if it has to be a motion, I don't know, but it's a statement. They just passed it. The teachers can't be back in unless they're vaccinated. They're not vaccinated, so they can't be back in.
We already passed a motion on handling athletics. So if you're making a new motion, I would think we would need to address that with a vote.
I'm waiting for the attorney.
More free advice.
The motion was to not bring them back until after the first opportunity for the vaccinations. That means if nothing changes, you're going to have 30% of the school district employee population not taking the vaccines. I didn't hear it to say anything other than that. And the coaches, once again, I would say that's a mandatory subject of bargaining. You could go to the coaches and you can work through Phil and approach each one and ask them to get the vaccination. But at the end of the day, you can't really exclude the coaches because they declined the vaccine. I mean, you can stop sports, but you can't stop, and say everything's done until the coaches get vaccines, because if you have the 70-30 population split, you're going to have, if you just apply it across the board mathematically and universally, you're going to have 30% of the coaches are going to decline.
Well, you're keeping students out of the school until the teachers are vaccinated. So how are you letting students around coaches without that option?
That's a different issue for the board to take up.
So
But
should that be in
really,
a
the
form of a
students-
motion?
The students are going to be around teachers. I mean, the students aren't going to be vaccinated. And if the teacher doesn't get vaccinated, they're going to be around them anyway. You know what I'm saying, though? If there's a teacher that elects not to get the vaccination, they still have run the risk
That's
of
what Carlos
exposing
was
the
saying.
teachers.
The whole country will be faced with that dilemma once the vaccine program gets underway. I think what I've read is it's a situation where if you get 60 to 70%, I don't know the exact number, you create a herd immunity and the virus is less likely to be transmitted. So what we're trying to do is create a safe working situation for our staff. They are our most precious resource, whether you want to admit it or not. And without teachers, we don't have school. Without bus drivers, we don't have school. So, and aides and cafeteria workers. So this is an attempt to offer a safer working environment.
I can't see why anybody would be against it. Why you wouldn't want to save your staff, your complete staff. I don't understand it. Why you wouldn't vote for the teachers to get vaccinated. I don't get it.
I want the teachers to get vaccinated.
But you just voted against it. You just voted against the motion.
I didn't vote against the teachers getting vaccinated.
Basically, you did.
No,
You all did.
no, we didn't.
Yes, you did. Because you want them to go to school without a vaccination.
We want them to get back into school.
Without a
teaching
vaccination.
the
Without a
kids
vaccination.
And
correct?
get the vaccination.
Without the
as soo-
vaccination.
We did it before,
But the
How about that?
vaccination wasn't in play. It wasn't this close.
but we did it before.
We did before, and how long did it last?
Because
Well,
Dave,
it lasted
I have
pretty
teachers
long.
begging me to go back to school because
So
the
do,
virtual
so do
isn't
I.
working.
So do I. But I also have teachers that are concerned about their health.
Well, and you know what?
So basically, you're saying, okay, teachers, go back to school and you get vaccinated whenever you can. So you're at risk for that time you're not in school, so you're not vaccinated. I think, I don't know. I don't know.
I got a
You're-
question.
Maybe you guys are right. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe
No,
they
I
should
mean,
just all
I
come
think
back.
teachers
Maybe,
is
maybe
important.
they should just all come back. Everybody, all the kids, everybody come back and
Well, we already have a motion approved and a plan in place. I think we can argue the rest of the night, if you would want. Everybody has their own opinion about what we need to do. And we did take a vote and 5 of us said that we would bring kids back to school 2 weeks after the first round of teacher vaccinations.
Okay, I want to make another motion. The other motion's taken care of. I want to make a motion that we bring all students back January 19th, elementary, junior high, senior high. And I make that motion.
A second.
Thank you. Could we have a roll call vote?
No, hold on. Whoa. Let me get, you want to bring everybody back?
Yes.
Everybody back.
Yep.
So you have no safe distancing, no nothing, right? That's out the
They'll
door.
have masks on.
But other than 6 feet, that's out the window.
Well,
You bring everybody back.
what's
Wait, I'm just asking. Is that what you're saying?
I'm saying I want.
So you look, so damn the state and damn the requirements and let everybody hopefully get COVID. That's what you're saying.
No,
Hey,
that
look,
is
hey,
not
look,
Motion to go to
I'm
vote?
saying.
That's a call to question, not go to
Call to
vote.
question
That's
to go to
better.
vote?
That's better.
It's
Yes.
going to be good.
Could we have a vote?
Mr. Francis,
No.
Mr. Hoff,
No.
Mr. Hoover,
Absolutely not.
Mrs. Irwin Adams.
Yes,
Yes,
yes.
Mr. Johnston,
No.
Mr. Cruz,
Yes.
Dr. Malloy,
No.
Mr. Baker,
No.
Mrs. Breen,
Yes.
failed.
What was the vote, Camilla?
6 against, 3 for.
Thank you.
Anything else for the
Yeah.
evening?
Yeah, I want to just say this. Once again, I say it every meeting and I mean it. I have gotten so much positive feedback about the efforts our teachers are doing to educate students in this incredibly difficult situation. They are doing, once again, a yeoman's job, and somebody, and that'll be me, and I know it'll be other board members who appreciate the efforts of not only our staff, but our administration and everybody who is working through a once in a lifetime pandemic that has taken over 380,000 American lives. 107 Altoona residents died since December. Thank you, teachers, for doing your job. And we're going to look out for you by getting some vaccinations so you have the protection you need to educate the students of our district. You are appreciated.
And I'd just like to say that we had a discussion here with different opinions, obviously. I think we need to respect different opinions. We got to agree to disagree and move on. I disagreed with some of you on the board. I agreed with some of you on the board. I respect all of your opinions, but we need to move on and just try to keep doing what we think is best for our school district and the community.
Thank you, Frank.
Dr. Prietel, apparently there's an interactive website through the state that shows providers in our county. And I would suggest that we try immediately to partner with a provider in our county to get the teachers vaccinated.
What's the name of the site?
Well, I'll share it with you.
Could you?
Yeah, I'll send you the link.
Because this has been a priority. This has been a main discussion the last 2 days.
Can we talk to Senator Ward or state representatives?
I've already talked to all three of them.
And what did they have to say?
They're going to do everything they can. I mean, I talked to Lou last week. I talked to Judy last week. I talked to Senator Casey from the federal government today. I mean,
Harrisburg is slow walking this thing. I've been in contact with them and it's terrible.
You know, every day you read the paper, we're losing like a community leader, somebody good in the community. It's sad. It's sad thing.
Anything else?
you gonna send that to me?
Meeting adjourned.